I'm Mike with the Hunt Fish Shoot channel, coming at you for the Armory Life, and today we're going to cover the all-new Burris Veracity 4-20 pH scope. What this scope is going to be a electronic ballistics type scope. So it takes the Burris Veracity line and adds ballistic data into this with a heads-up display that then Bluetooth links to your phone. How all of that stuff works, and what I've gathered, is that with that you're going to actually use your app, input your rifle information. So with this rifle here, this is going to be the Springfield Model 2020 Redline in 6.5 Creedmoor with a 20-inch barrel. You'll input all of that stuff into there. You put your twist rate in there. You put your height over bore for your scope over top of the action itself. And then you're gonna put your load or your cartridge in there. So today I'm gonna be shooting Hornady Precision Hunter. That's a 6.5 Creedmoor 143 grain ELDX bullet. With that bullet, when you put that stuff in there, you put all of your ballistics data into the app. After you've got all that stuff into the app, you just go to the range and you zero this scope just like you normally would with any other rifle scope. The turret itself on the top doesn't actually have any audible clicks or anything like that. In fact, it's just more like a smooth turn. However, there's still hash marks on here. And in fact, this scope uses 1/10 MOA adjustments. This is an MOA scope. It has a wind MOA reticle on here, and then you have standard capped windage turret on here that has clicks in it. Now granted, like I said, this doesn't have clicks. Now you're gonna ask yourself, with this scope, what happens if my batteries are dead? Or what happens if I have this on a super expensive rifle and I wanna go out west and I wanna go hunting? Maybe that state doesn't allow electronic scopes like this one. Well, if you take the batteries out, you can still use this scope like you would any other MOA-based scope. So it's still usable without batteries, or if you're on a hunt and your batteries die, you can still use it. It uses 2 disc-sized batteries to go in the actual parallax adjustment here, and it does have adjustments for brightness in addition to the fact that it has a Bluetooth on and off feature. With this scope, there's tons of settings within the app that you can actually sync over to the scope and determine if you want the scope, let's say, to shut off after an hour of no usage. If you want the scope to stay on for 4 hours, you can set that. All that stuff is user adjustable and changeable by yourself. You just sync it. Now, I would like to say it's dummy proof because it's so easy to do. Initially, when you look at this scope, and a lot of things you're gonna see with it, is that it looks like it's a lot of stuff to take in, a lot of stuff like, that the average person couldn't figure out. However, I essentially set this entire scope up on a bench top and had the app sync to the scope. I have all the data built into here already, and now I can get out on the range. I can use my chronograph to see how fast that bullet's actually traveling, because a lot of times your box data isn't accurate, so you can get that accurate data with your chronograph, input it into there, zero the rifle scope. This does have a zero stop and a resettable zero. It is like an electronic resettable zero, but you reset the zero and then it has a zero stop which you can set. So once that's set, you also get in your app, you zero out the scope, you zero out the app, you have your zero set. Once you have all of that stuff done, okay, and you have your zero set, you've got your 3-shot group, you're happy with the zero you have, whether you're using maybe a 100-yard or 200-yard zero, that's up to you. Personally, I will always use a 100-yard zero. After you have that stuff done, you're gonna see inside your scope, when it's at 0, it's gonna show that it's at 100 yards. Now the scope itself, inside on the heads-up display, you can show whether you want 100 yards or you want 100 meters, or you just want an MOA. So if you want an just straight MOA with no yardage in there, you can. However, if it's on that 100 yards, it's as simple as you range a target with your rangefinder. You range that target, let's say 343 yards. You turn the scope to 343 yards, and in theory, it should be dead on. Pull the trigger and you should hit it at 343 yards. Say your next target's at 680 yards. Turn that scope to 680 yards and pull the trigger, and as long as you do your part with a good trigger press and you're holding for wind, which you can also input variables like atmospheric things into this scope using the app. As long as you do all that stuff right, you should get a good hit. We will test those series for distances that are greater than 100 yards and see how it is accuracy based. I don't think there's gonna be any issues, and I think it's gonna do really well just based off everything that I've already seen with this scope. In addition to that, you're gonna get great glass on here and from the Veracity line, which is what people know and expect from Burris. And on top of all of that stuff with the scope, and the cool features it has, it's backed by a forever warranty from Burris. So even if you take this thing on a hunt and something breaks on you, because if you hunt enough, things will break eventually. Something breaks on you, Burris is gonna get you taken care of and get it fixed. It does come with flip up scope caps on here that are spring loaded. for the objective and ocular lens. And then the turrets themselves, they are knurled, and then you also got knurling here for the 4-20 power. But let's get out here. We're going to test out this scope. I'll show you guys some of those features. Adjust the scope to 307 yards now. There we go. 307. Now the scope has a built-in inclinometer and a level also, so you can actually see what your scope's at. It shows what I would need to hold for wind, which there's a good right to left wind. It's showing a 1 MOA hold on my wind. All right, again, target is at 307. I have the scope dialed 307. Got our wind hold. Got an Ip6 C-zone size steel out there at 307 yards. Got snow in that. There we go. So actually no wind hold on that, and that hit direct impact about where I was aiming. So that's actually phenomenal. So again, we were at 307 there. We're now going to run this out to, I believe we're at about 600 yards for the next one. .607 on the next one. Just our parallax, get that set. Okay. Now it should be as simple as turning the scope to 6. Okay. We're at 607 yards now. Impact. And that impact, guys, outside of the 2 wind holds I had being off, because we got a bit of a crosswind that's going back and forth on us, we're talking direct impact center C-zone steel at 300 and 600. No wind hold is ultimately what I needed instead of some wind hold, because we have a bit of a dying wind, but direct impact, easy. And all I had to do was turn the scope to the yardage. That is frankly incredible. For a new shooter or somebody who doesn't want to build dope essentially with a turret and figuring all that stuff out, if you got a chronograph and you've got this Burris Veracity PH, it's simple for you to do. 2 impacts on steel out of 4 shots when all I really had wrong was a wind hold. That is really impressive. We're talking, like I said, kill shots, Franklin animals, easy on a deer, an Aoudad. We're at 6.5 Creedmoor, 308 yards and 607 yards, and dialing the scope to that yardage, really, really simple. The Burris Veracity is an awesome tool for today's modern age hunter. I think it's an excellent hunting scope, and if it's legal in your state, I think it's 100% worth it giving this thing a shot.